Hey, what's going on, team? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions. So today is January 10th, it is Friday, and one of the things that I want to talk about is kind of this change of direction that we've began to see on natural gas. A lot of people have a lot of questions about what's going on. I want to talk about not just on the technical side. You guys know that we break down natural gas every single day, especially if you're part of my Learn Plan Profit group. It's a big focus that I have, but one of the things that I'd love to empower our members to do is to not get super excited when things begin to look a little better. As one of the things that I want to point out is on this 180-day 4-hour chart, I'm not saying natural gas isn't going to reverse. Now, all I'm saying is that I think it still has a lot to prove. One of the things that I do want to point out, and the chart should be able to pop up right here, is not just on the technical side, but on the fundamental side, when it comes down to the actual inventory and what's been causing natural gas to sell off so aggressively. If you guys have not been staying up to date, is that, a lot of people have been asking the question, doesn't natural gas tend to excel during the winter months? And yes, based off of previous patterns and previous seasons, yes, but when inventory is so high and just overall demand does not outweigh the inventory and we continue to have a surplus of inventory, it's really hard to see an increase in overall prices for natural gas. And this is what we've been experiencing recently, and this is why I love to remind our traders that, again, when things do begin to look a little bit better, it's not about getting super excited and just thinking that, okay, it's natural gas time, it's you gas time, and put all your chips in one basket, but it's being just open-minded and aware that there's nothing wrong with going with the flow, but we still don't have true direction and true confirmation when it comes down to natural gas showing signs of an uptrend. One of the things that I wanted to pull up is this is the 180-day chart for forward/NG or natural gas, the natural gas future. And one of the things that you can still see is that this overall SMA line has been acting as a resistance the entire time. If we pull on and go on over here, we can see on the 20-day 1-hour chart, we are showing signs of it now beginning to break above this SMA line. But one of the things that I do want to point out is that it's done this multiple times. And with that being said, normally when it does push up and become super overbought, again, patterns tend to repeat themselves, they don't have to. But as they do become overbought, you can see that with the MACD, with the RSI, and based off of recent patterns, again, it is not such a surprise that it can potentially correct itself. And what that means is that what goes up must come down. I'm not saying that it's going to come down all the way back to 2.13, which is the previous support that it had, but one of the things that I want to bring to your attention is if we go to the 5-day, 5-minute chart, one of the things that you'll pick up on is that it had a support right around 2.10, 2.13, right around this general area, and it had a resistance around 2.16 to 2.18. So what I'm thinking is we are now beginning to see signs of higher highs, which I think is super, super exciting. It's about time, right? But one of the things that I want to remind you is to not just think, all right, it's time for you guys, but to understand that as something becomes super overbought and begins to uptrend, that it would not be much of a surprise that it does and potentially can begin to correct itself. And what I mean by that is I don't really expect it to drop all the way back down to 2.10, at least, again, we would hope not, right? But one of the things that I could expect, and that would make sense, is that, again, old resistance levels can become new support levels. So with that idea in mind, this previous resistance that we saw at 2.16 and 2.18, as it was a previous resistance, but now that we broke above it, as this thing corrects itself, it would make sense on when it does pull back, and if it does pull back, that, again, it could potentially find a support right around that 2.16 to 2.18 area for natural gas. So again, I just love reminding our traders, especially when it comes down to those that become very hopeful. I know it can become very exciting as you begin to make money in the market. I just love reminding our beginner traders that, again, there's nothing wrong with locking in profits. We have this saying within our Learn Plan Profit group that no one goes broke by locking in profits, right? And yes, it's always exciting to be able to hold something overnight, to not have to use a day trade, and to be able to sell it for a profit. But what I think is worse, and what I would really like to avoid, is when you enter a hopeful position, especially when you already can see that natural gas is super overbought, and then instead of it going up and not locking in profits, you end up holding, moving on to next week, right? On Monday when the market opens, let's say natural gas does end up pulling back, then you unfortunately gave back all the profits that you made. So I understand that it can go either way. Natural gas can gap up, natural gas can pull back, but again, I'm a big believer that I would rather be someone that has a reason and takes action behind that reason every single time that they take a trade. So meaning that if I see an opportunity, I take advantage of it and I control it within the day, And instead of approaching the market with, I'm going to enter a position and hope that it opens green on Monday, and potentially, again, putting yourself in a bad situation when the overall direction of natural gas is still definitely not in our favor. So one of the things I do want to point up is, again, the inventory report. When it comes down to the 5-year analysis on the inventory, we are super oversold. We are due for that overall reversal, but again, nothing has to happen. Patterns do tend to repeat themselves, but the last year was a perfect example that, natural gas tends to do exceptionally well during the winter months, but that was definitely not the case, at least this past winter. So again, the idea is not to be a hopeful trader. The idea is to have a reason behind every action that you take. And anytime that you see yourself in the green, and if you feel like there is any indication of a resistance, or you would feel more comfortable locking in profits, again, one of the things that I love to remind you is that you are probably someone that is just getting started in the stock market. It's not so much about a make it or break it. Is you want to gain experience, you want to build confidence, and you want to build that track record. And that is best done within your own means and when you can control something. When you begin to make hopeful trades and then things begin to go south, it can become very unfortunate. And if you do begin to experience red trades, you're going to be more discouraged and less willing to want to continue to do this. So again, it's more about the focus about being consistent and less about trying to make it or break it, at least in my opinion. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think about my breakdown. I would love to hear your guys' input about natural gas, UGAS, DGAS, if you expect a pullback and what you see to come for the next couple of months. I just am a big believer that I think that natural gas has a lot more to prove than just, a couple of green days, as it's still overall trading below that 180-day SMA line. So I really do appreciate you guys' thumbs up. I hope that I earned it. Don't forget to join our free investing group. That's going to be that first link down below. And if you would like the ability to be able to watch me trade live every single day, so if you like what you see on YouTube but you would like to work with me on a closer basis and watch me trade live, then again, take 2 minutes, click that second link down below and learn a little bit more about the Learn Plan Profit Group and see if we're a good fit for you. I really do appreciate you guys' time, and like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.